Okay, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Designated Players Podcast. This is episode 15. I hope I didn't do that backwards. I might have. I don't know.
You're good.
Quarantine's making me go crazy. So, we are joined today with Adam and Connor, as always, and our fourth designated player, Gracie, my new puppy. Had her last week, but she was a little camera shy, and now she's taking a nap in the back. So we are going to go ahead and do the Western Conference, part two, if you will, of last week's episode and talk about Western Conference Mount Rushmore teams. You guys are giving great feedback on our picks in the East. Connor really appreciates them. I'm sure he does. But we are going to go ahead and just go straight into the Western Conference and talk about a lot of teams that we might not necessarily know a ton about. So we'd love to hear your feedback on these two. But before we do that, as we always do, Scarf of the Week. Adam's got a new one, so let's go to him first.
Sure. It was on sale. I was ordering some stuff off soccer.com, so I've got this nice One Nation, One Team USA one, but also, and you probably saw it when I took the scarf off, I got a new Inter Miami kit.
Oh.
Because Eurosport had a deal of the day, so it was like $50. So I threw the number 10 Pizarro on it. Sorry to our friend Max, who told me to get AJ De La Garza on it, because I couldn't do that.
We like the white T-shirt. It's a nice white.
It's a lot nicer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It looks a lot nicer than it does on TV.
Solid. Connor, still got the same one?
Same scarf, but went with the RSL kit today since we're doing the Western Conference.
Love it. I didn't realize Adam had already seen the episode. I didn't know if he had time, but I brought back the kit, the new scarf for him to take a look at, and it's actually becoming very quickly one of my favorite ones. I love the look of it. But yeah, I've got the same one too, Connor. So you're not alone. Because I joined you today.
So kind of you.
I know.
I'm the only one who hasn't had a repeat yet.
Yeah, but we are also the only one who has 80 scarves in the bag.
There.
Let's just move right into Columbus. Oh, wow. Yeah,
nope.
You tell.
Columbus.
Wrong podcast.
Oh, goodness me. Let's move into Colorado, shall we, and give it to Colorado's biggest fan. Go ahead, Connor. Go ahead, Adam. What do you got?
I'm offended. Yeah, so obviously, only 2 games into the season, I can't put the 2020 Colorado team on this entire Mount Rushmore. But, no, my 4 picks, obviously, Tim Howard, pretty self-explanatory. Drew Moore, I know he spent the later half of the decade with Toronto and obviously won a lot more over there. But first half of the decade was with Colorado. He's now back. He's, going to be extremely important for us. Axel Huberry. I still don't know how to say his name.
Schuberg.
Yep. I've heard it like I've heard it 17 different ways, and I just whatever at this point.
You combined his name with Keegan Rosenberry's name and put Schuberry.
That's fine. And then the 4th one I have is Dominic Badji, because I didn't want to put 2 goalkeepers on here with Clint Irwin.
Interesting. So you focused heavily on like that 2016 to the future side.
Yeah.
I focused on one of their only bright points in 2010.
You mean before this season?
Realistically, if you look at their season history, right? They don't, or their seasons back to back. 2010 they won the cup, and after that it was kind of like they disappeared. So I focused a lot on that. So I focused on Drew Moore. I agree, right? Really hard to argue that when he was actually in our short list, I think, for defender of the decade at one point, right? He was like number 7, but he was still on the list, right? I put up Pablo Mastroeni, one of the best center defensive mids in the league at the time. One of the, he's the leader. He's a guy I first remember watching, and I was like, this dude, he's good. And he was very crucial to the team because he was that middle piece, right? He cleaned up everything in front of the back line. He started the attack. And he also went on to become a head coach, which kind of cements his legacy for Colorado. I also went with Connor Casey. Connor Casey was weird, right? Because Connor Casey is the Red Bull killer, which was a weird one for me to say because he did a lot of his work in Philadelphia. But he was one of 2 really good options for Colorado up top from like 2010 to 2013. He was just one of those – he reminds me of Luke Rogers. Remember Luke Rogers? Yeah. one of those guys who just like, I'm going to run through a brick wall. He's always in the right spot, always put it away. Really good in terms of just finding the back of the net. And also went on to be a coach for a little bit for Colorado. So kind of both of them there. And then I finished with Omar Cummings. Omar Cummings in the title-winning season went 14-4. Second team goal-scoring leader, like number 2, in the entire history. And he always popped up when you needed him. So they're both iffy, and I'm open to like changing them. But to me, I focus on that early 2010 to 2013 range because that kind of was the best time up until now that they were actually relevant and good.
I did the same thing, pretty similar. I didn't pick the exact same people, but I also focused more on the early part of the decade because of that 2010 MLS Cup win. And obviously I have Drew Moore in there. He's been a long time. He's second all-time in appearances for them. He served there for so many years. He's got an MLS Cup. He's a one-time All-Star. I also have Omar Cummings in there. I was deciding between him and Connor Casey because both of them are certainly legends for the club over the entire career. But if we're focusing just on the 2010s, both of them were kind of towards the end of their time with Colorado at the beginning of the decade. And the reason I went with Omar Cummings over Connor Casey was just because he had more goal contributions from 2010 to 2012.
Okay.
I went with Tim Howard as well, just because I would say the second brightest point for Colorado during the decade was 2016 when I think they finished – I don't remember if they finished first or second in the Western Conference, but I know they got a bye into the playoffs. It was like their best finish in a long time. And I know he came in that year. I think he was a game changer for them. I think he really made a difference for them. And obviously Tim Howard's such a well-known goalkeeper for the U.S. He's a legend. And my last one might be a little I like the Pablo Mastroeni shout. Probably
We got the fight, Connor? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, I like your shout. I went with Marvell Wynn though in my last spot. Because he was a constant defender for them. During some of the brighter times at the beginning of the decade. And for me, I was actually choosing between him and Dylan Powers.
Okay.
And I went with Marvell Wynn because when he was playing there, Colorado averaged about a 10th place finish in the entire league, not just in the Western Conference, the entire league. While when Powers was there, it was around like a 13.2. And while Powers was there for the really successful season, like Howard was, he wasn't really a big factor. And on Who Scored, he only had a 6.59 rating. Also, a little bit more about Marvel when he's 5th all-time in appearances, and he was there for the MLS Cup win.
Connor's getting into the numbers side here. It's like having our own little Ryan Anderson, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to go less off of picks that I know because that's what got me in trouble last episode because I've only been following for like 3 years, so it's hard for me to choose a Patrice Bernier when I've never watched him play, and I only have a small thing of stats to go off of.
Marvel Wynn's an interesting shout, and I like your reasoning behind it. I do feel it's a little bit FIFA driven, but I can get behind it.
I did not FIFA drive it, I promise. But I should have because he was insane.
Yeah. Connor, what happened?
Only bronze with a 93 pace.
Yeah, right.
As a center back.
Anybody else have any shouts on there? Because I think we can move into Dallas if not.
Are we deciding on a top 4 or are we just saying?
No, we're just gonna make our comments.
Yeah.
We can't decide on a top 4 because if we were trying to decide on a top 4 for every team, Connor and I would still be arguing about Toronto. So
it's fair. No, because I'm the moderator now. We have a deciding vote.
You're not the moderator. You're way too one-sided for that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We're moving to Dallas. Can I take Dallas? Is that all right?
Go for it.
You can certainly take Dallas.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Everybody freeze. We got a phone call for Adams. He's so popular.
It's not.
They're calling to say that our picks are better.
We'll edit this out.
I realized I didn't put some of the numbers in from my early teams, and I should have. I forgot to.
Yeah, I wanted to have
My bad.
numbers on Connor Casey, and I didn't. That's weird. Anyways, are we ready to go?
Yep.
All right, we are back. First pick for Dallas, Matt Hedges. Literally, if anybody doesn't have Matt Hedges, they're kicked off. Like, that's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Most appearances by a long shot. I think he's got to have something like 70 more appearances than the next guy, and he's still playing. He's been men's national team, picks out goals from set pieces, good leader, solid center back. Don't even need numbers to back that up. Zach Lloyd, second most appearances and more old school, a little bit of an old school guy here. Played next to Matt Hedges and shored up that back line. Did the double with Dallas in 15-16, and he started 28 games in that season. Has at least 24 appearances every season from 2010 to 2015. He was just the guy that played. It was him and Hedges for so long, and a very solid second choice, and I think he definitely deserves to be on there. I'll go with Fabian Castillo. I think, we talked about him a ton already, but one of the first big-name wingers to make a big move out of MLS, kind of really started the trend of us being a selling league, for lack of a better term. And this guy was dirty, right? We talked about it. He only had 39 and 31, but the way that he played and the flair and the style kind of set the tone for what Dallas was. And my last one is somebody I'm okay with switching out if somebody wants to says it, but I went with El Raton in Blas Perez, one of the Dallas's best strikers and one of the best strikers in CONCACAF at one point for Panama. Dude just put the ball in the back of the net. Third most goals in team history behind two players. One's an ex-Red Bull. The other one is a head coach now. I think he's a head coach now. Anybody guess?
No, can't guess.
All right, so I'll go former NYC head coach.
Gross.
Anybody?
Jason Kreis.
Jason Kreis. Jason Kreis is the leader in Dallas. And then number 2, striker for Red Bull. Nobody thought he was going to be good. Came over from Portland.
What list is this again?
Kenny Cooper. Kenny Cooper, anybody?
Go away.
Both of those guys are in front of him, but he had 42 goals and 108 appearances, threw on 19 assists, brought Dallas this fighting passion, and his celebration was super sick too. Again, I'm open to switching that, but I think Blas Perez is a very solid shout.
Solid. All right, I'll go. Yeah, Matt Hedges, obviously. Don't want to get thrown off the podcast.
Good shout.
I have him on there. Played with them since 2012. I just said actually, I have him down as second all-time appearance leader. I don't remember if you said he was first or second. I think
he's definitely first. Who do you have first?
I think Jason Kreis. First, he's definitely first for the decade, but I think Kreis. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, I will.
But, I think he's 13th all-time in goals for them as a center back, which is pretty crazy. He's 2-time MLS Best 11. He was 2016 Defender of the Year, 3-time All-Star. Really, no argument needs to be made. He should be on here 100%. I'm continuing my trend from last episode where I'm including coaches in here. So I put Oscar Pareja in here, coached them from 2014 to 2018, in which they made the playoffs all but one season and finished first twice. He's first in the Western Conference twice. He won a Supporters' Shield with them, and he won a U.S. Open Cup with them. I know we're not including playing time, so playing time with them doesn't count for him. But I think even just as a manager, he was just so good for them. And then now that he's gone, I feel like you kind of see the influence he had because they're just not the same team without him. My next player on the Rushmore is Mauro Diaz. He was He was one of the best. I'm surprised you put him on here, honestly.
Unbelievable. I was waiting for someone to say it.
He was one of the best playmakers during his time with Dallas. He was a game changer for them from 2013 to 2018. And he was arguably their best player when they won the Supporters' Shield. He's 10th all time in goals for them. I couldn't find assist statistics, but I'm assuming he's got to be way up there. He's also a one-time best 11 player. And then my last one, I would also be open to switching him because there's a couple of people I could see going here. And I went with David Ferreira. He led them to an MLS Cup appearance in 2010, and he also collected the MVP award for them that season, which is one of two in Dallas history. He had 16 goals and 32 assists for the 4 seasons that he played with them during the decade. 12th all-time in goals, one-time best 11. Obviously, as I said, one-time MVP. It was a little tough to pick him over Fabian Castillo and Michael Barrios, but because he won the MVP, that's the reason why I chose him over the other two.
Fair. Yeah, thank you for saying Mauro Diaz because I was shocked when Andrew left him out. Obviously, I have Mauro Diaz, Fabian Castillo, Matt Hedges, and the fourth one, I have Perez in there as well, Andrew, but I was flip-flopping. Obviously, mine's a little bit more recent, but I wanted to try and sneak in like a Reto Ziegler or a Hollingshead, but I can't really justify that more than some of the people we've already said. So I mean I'm good with anyone taking that fourth spot.
Just my apologies on Mauro Diaz. He only played 128 games, and I'll be honest with you, didn't scroll that far down the list. There are tons of people with a lot more appearances that I was kind of focusing on. I'm like I said, I was open to swapping out Blas Perez, or even Zach Lloyd at this point for Mauro Diaz. I think I definitely missed one there.
Yeah, my fourth one will be Ryan Hollingshead.
Sure.
Screw it. As Andrew knows, I love me some FC Dallas defenders for fantasy.
Great fantasy picks for sure.
Great, always a great fantasy pick.
No, they're only great fantasy picks when you pick them and
Exactly.
I don't. If we both pick them, they'll both flop. Or
Yeah.
if I pick them and you don't, they flop. But when you pick them and I don't, triple digits.
It's the same thing with Philadelphia defenders.
Stop. I'm not doing this right now. Connor, Houston.
Yes, I'm so happy that I got Houston, the team with a ton of history. Hello, Houston Dynamo subreddit. I'm glad that you're here to roast me because I'm sure I'm going to leave out some of your favorite players on this list. One person that I feel like should be on everybody's list, and he was in consideration for our team of the decade, Brad Davis.
And he wasn't in consideration. He was.
Brian Ching. Oh,
well,
no,
I didn't pick
Brad
him.
Davis.
So obviously his time was more so in the beginning of the decade for them, but obviously amazing winger for them. He's four-time All-Star, one-time Best 11. He's got the most appearances for them all time, 4th all-time in goals for them, most assists all time for them. I don't really think any other case needs to be made. He should be on this Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
My second one, this one I went with DeMarcus Beasley, and I couldn't find too much on statistics for him, but for me personally, when I think of Houston Dynamo, he is the first person that I think of. He's just, he is my mascot for them essentially. Obviously, he's one of the best defenders in MLS history. He's a 2-time All-Star. I'm gonna just leave it at that because my next 2 picks I feel like are a little more controversial. But so my next one, I went with Mauro Manotas. So this is more of a modern day pick, but I think he's been a great striker for them. He has played from 2015 until now for them. He's 3rd all-time in goals for them, which I found kind of surprising. He's got the most goals in one season for them, 18 goals. And I know recently Houston won the U.S. Open Cup, which is one of their brighter moments in recent history. And in that competition, he scored 6 goals for them. And he's also their all-time leading scorer in the U.S. Open Cup competition. So I think throwing in a more modern day pick, I think he's got to be the guy to be on there. And then my last one, I went with Will Bruin. And he might not be the biggest name, but he's a super solid attacker for Houston from 2011 to 2016. Obviously, if it's from that era, I never really saw him play with them, but the stats kind of spoke for themselves. He was there for both MLS Cup appearances in 2011 and 2012. He's 7th all-time in appearances for them, and he's 2nd all-time in goals for them. So that was mainly the reason why I put him on there.
Interesting.
Go ahead, Adam. What you got?
I mean, obviously, Brad Davis was the first person I wrote down. I mean, that's the thing that's just a given. Marcus Beasley was obviously second right in behind him. And then the other two, again, these last two could go either way. I just wrote a bunch of names down. I wrote like Giles Barnes, Minter Figueroa, Bobby Boswell. Take your pick. Roast me. Go for it.
Make a case.
I can't. No, Minter Figueroa is also like one of those guys when I think of the Houston back line over the last couple of years, he's, for whatever reason, one of the first guys that pops into my head. And I didn't necessarily want to. I mean, you could have put like the guys that Connor put, like the more recent guys, but I kind of focused on their back line for the most part with this list, other than obviously Brad Davis.
I have obviously Brad Davis and DeMarcus Beasley. Got Mauro Manotas as well. Fun fact, Mauro Manotas is only 5 goals off of breaking Brian Ching's goal-scoring record, who is literally a club icon. And if this was not in the decade, and if this was just the entire club's history, he's on here, no question.
Yeah, that's why I didn't put him on.
I don't like the Will Bruin shout. I don't know why I don't like it. It doesn't feel right to me. You know, when you think of a team that he was there for 6 years, I get it. He was there for a long time, but it just doesn't feel like he is the guy there, if that makes sense. And I went with Ricardo Clark. He's almost at 300 games with the clubs. He has at least 25 appearances every year from 2013 to 2017 before he left. He was a key part of the midfield. He was there from 2012 to 2017, but was getting acclimated in the first year. Strong box-to-box center mid. Doesn't really have great stats in terms of goals and assists because he was really an 8 and he kind of just broke up the play and distributed. However, that was one I was kind of iffy on. I don't think I'd replace him with Will Bruin, but I'm not sure if it's the right shout either. But again, there's this weird part of Houston where not many people know much about what happened in these random middle years.
Andrew's just saving Will Bruin for his Seattle picks.
So. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Let me try to make a case for you for Will Bruin.
Go ahead. So here's the other thing too. Before you do that, I was floating Boniek Garcia too, because he's a little bit more back and forth. But I think Ricardo Clark beat him out. But go ahead. Please make your case.
All right. So I would say this has not been a great decade for Houston, but their brightest moments were 2011 and 2012 that they made MLS Cup final, even though they lost both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he was there for both seasons. And in the 2012 season, when they made the finals, he was their top scorer for the season.
Yep.
He also had another season where he was the top scorer for them.
Mm-hmm.
He still has more goals than Mauro Manotas at this point. He's second all time.
Does he?
I believe so. I don't remember where I found it, but that's what I saw.
No, Manotas has 62. Will Bruin has 57.
Okay.
So, I mean, listen, it's close, right? But Manotas did it in 50 less games.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think is Bruin – I think he's more of a winger, isn't he?
No, pure striker.
No? He was a striker for them?
Pure striker.
What does he play for – is he a striker for Seattle too?
Pure striker, yep. Always
when he's healthy, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
here's
thought he was a winger.
So here's my argument against you. You talk about how they made it to MLS Cup in 2011.
And 2012.
Well, yes, but I'm talking about 2011 here. He scored 5 goals and didn't score in the playoffs. He was huge in 2012. I'll give you 2012. And then he had a year where he had 11. He had a year where he had 10. He had a year where he had 8. 8 and 7. So he was playing a little bit of both. Then he left. He had 4 in 2016. He was spotty, if anything, for me, which is why I can't go with him. Again, I'm not saying Ricardo Clark's the answer. I just don't think Will Bruin is the good replacement.
So we'll settle for Darwin Quintero, and we'll move on.
I agree with half of that statement. Let's move on.
1 goal in 1 game. He's at 100% conversion.
Let's move on to the Galaxy. Adam, I believe this goes to you, but let me give you a hint. Let me give you a hand here.
Mhm.
Chicharito,
Yep.
Pavone, Bajo Husidic, and pick your favorite from the last one.
Emma Boateng.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So why is Chicharito allowed when he's only played 2 games, but Darwin's not allowed for Houston?
Because I said so.
This is ridiculous.
Because I said so.
I thought this podcast was a democracy.
No, I'm in charge.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, so my Galaxy one should be fairly straightforward. I mean, obviously, my new club owner, David Beckham, Landon Donovan. I put Roman Alessandrini just because I really liked the way he played, and he wasn't there for a long time, but he was good when he was there. And obviously the man who could just have his own Mount Rushmore of himself, Zlatan.
All right.
You all knew it was coming.
Andrew, you want to do it?
You're kicked off. Does the name Robbie Keane not mean anything to you? Does the name Robbie Keane not mean anything to you?
Go away.
Even I put Robbie Keane on mine.
Oh,
I know.
my God.
Fine. So put him over Alessandrini.
I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. But the fact
You're okay with Alessandrini?
No, taking Alessandrini out for Keane. But
Oh, yeah, do that. That's
the
fine.
fact that you left him off of your initial list makes me want to put my head through a wall.
Whatever.
It's the same thing as the Toronto issue. It's the big 3 that every time you think of this team, you think of these 3 players. Right, Connor?
Yes, Andrew.
Zlatan, and Zlatan.
Anyways, I thought this was as straightforward as it can be. I knew you were going to throw Zlatan in there because you had.
How would you not have Zlatan? Do you not have Zlatan on yours?
I don't, because I focused on results, not names.
Not 53 goals in 57 games? That doesn't do anything for you?
No, I really am not a big fan of players who have good numbers but don't win anything. That's why I hate my entire Red Bull team.
Fair.
My last player is Omar Gonzalez.
Oh, fine.
Oh my God.
Because we agree that right now he's past his prime. From 2010 to 2016, he won 3 MLS Cups, 2 Supporters' Shields, Defensive Player of the Year, and was considered one of the best American center backs in the pool. He had at least 20 appearances in all of those years, except for one when he was recovering from the ACL. It's difficult now because we joke and make fun and do all this stuff. There is no arguing that he was one of the best defenders in the league for a long time.
Okay. Obviously, I have Landon, I have David, and I have Robbie. I think we said early on.
Good.
I think we said early on the fourth one kind of, you can go a couple different ways. I took the same route, did not put Zlatan because even though he put up crazy numbers and was super talented, he made the playoffs once and did nothing. So I was didn't think of Omar Gonzalez, but that's a good shout. I was between AJ De La Garza and Juninho. And
you have some weird obsession with Juninho, and I don't understand it. I feel like he was on your list for
he was an honorable mention for a different team, I think.
No,
I think
different
so,
Juninho. I looked that up. Andrew and I were talking about that before.
I can't believe you didn't know the difference, by the way, Adam. But that's a different story for another day, Connor.
Yeah. So obviously Juninho got 2 Sport Shields, 3 MLS Cups. That's the reason why I narrowed it down to Juninho and De La Garza over Zlatan. So then between Juninho and De La Garza for me, I went to who scored to come to a decision on that one. And Juninho consistently averaged like a 7.2 on who scored, which is a great rating. And De La Garza, he had a great rating as well, but it was only a 6.9. And I know that he was a defender, but he was never a top-rated defender on the team. So I went with Juninho ultimately.
I don't like it because I feel like I think he was underrated for a long time. I think he was a lot better than people made him out to be. I don't think he was one of the best 4 players to ever play for Los Angeles Galaxy in the past decade. But that's neither here nor there. We have our statements. Adam has been forcefully removed from the podcast for the rest of eternity.
Unbelievable.
And we move on to LAFC, where at least one we'll all agree on, right?
You would hope so.
Diego Palacios.
Steven Beitashour, the no-brainer. Obviously, Carlos Vela. I have this key that I'm putting together where I figure out who we all agreed on, who I agreed on with Connor, who I agreed on with Adam. I'm just gonna highlight his name in yellow, which means we all agree on him. I'm not even gonna bother.
Yeah.
Giving stats. Diego Rossi. Most appearances in the short time that he's been here. 37 goals, 17 assists in 80 games. Electric player, combines really well with Vela. Pretty no-brainer for me. Mark Anthony Kaye is one of the best young center mids in the game. Very good, number 8. And you can see his importance in the numbers of 2018. When he went down with that ankle injury, LAFC only won 5 of their next 13 games. And then they go on and do good things the next year when he comes back. And then my final one is Edward Atuesta. Critical and crucial to shoring up the LAFC defensive front. After joining in 2019, he was the piece they were missing to go on that huge run. Because they had the attacking pieces, but they kept giving up goals. We knew that. Dude comes in, and they lost 4 games all year, and one of them he wasn't playing in. So he was the missing piece for me. And I think that's a good shout. Go ahead, whoever wants it.
I'll take it. Obviously Vela. I also had Rossi. I made an analogy. I said he's the Robin to Vela's Batman.
I like that.
I think he gets overlooked a lot because of what Vela accomplishes, but he's such a talented player. He's got 30 goals, 18 assists in 71 games. Second leading scorer in club history. He's won the Supporters' Shield with them. I don't think I need to make much more of a case. Again, I'm sticking with the theme that I can go with coaches. So
Yeah.
I chose Bob Bradley.
Yeah.
While the talent is definitely there, I think he's done an amazing job meshing all the talent together and getting the best out of his players. And, I mean, you can really see that with Vela. Like, he's turned Vela into a superstar. And he's got 1 Supporters' Shield with them. Finished 3rd in the West in the first season with them. He set the points record in MLS history with them. I know that you guys probably won't have him because you didn't choose coaches, but I definitely think he deserves to be on here for what he's done for them. And the last one was a little tough because, obviously Mark Anthony Kaye, Eduardo Atuesta, they definitely are shouts to be on here. But I went with Walker Zimmerman. And I think that he's taken another step moving to LAFC and has really turned into one of the best defenders in the league there. And he's a one-time All-Star there. He's one-time MLS Best 11, obviously won Supporters' Shield. And on Who Scored, he's been their top-rated defender for both of LAFC seasons. And it's kind of tough because I wish we had this season to see how they are without him. But at first, they did not look great with the lack of Zimmerman in their back line.
Yeah. They also didn't replace him, right? They let him go and had nobody to fill his spot.
That's true, too.
Mm-hmm.
But they had Jordan Harvey.
Sure.
Adam, please tell me how you messed this one up.
So, what do you mean? This one's very easy. Obviously, Vela and Rossi. I had Mark Anthony Kaye as well. And before Andrew yells at me, I did not put Steven Beitashour on this list, only because I put Bob Bradley as the 4th spot.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that.
It's not a knock on Steven Beitashour. I wanted Mark Anthony Kaye in here because I think of the midfielders they had, yes, I mean, Lee Win was in there, sort of. But when you think of that midfield, he's the first one that comes to my mind. And I could not have Bob Bradley on this list.
Yeah, no, like I said, I didn't go the coaching route because I have too many bad coaching memories in my head right now from a few good buddies over at Red Bull. So I have chosen not to include them, but I don't disagree. So Connor, please do my loons well.
All right. So I hate to break it to you, Adam. The first name on my list was not Darwin Quintero.
All right, kick him off.
I give
Kick him
up.
off. Kick him off.
It was Iko Para.
Fine. I'll accept it.
I think there's no argument that he should be on here. He's really stepped into the back line and turned them into a force to be reckoned with. And he's completely changed. I feel like he's completely changed that team and turned them into one of the best in the Western Conference. He's a one-time Defender of the Year, one-time Best 11. Really nothing else to say on him, honestly. Of course, I have Darwin Quintero in there. I'm not going to skip him. He's the most talented player in their short history. It's a shame that he's not there anymore. But not only was he the best for Minnesota, but he was one of the best in the league. He's their joint top scorer in the history of the club. He's their top assister in the history of the club. Really no other argument needs to be made. Next on my list, Miguel Ibarra. I think he's a loon through and through, even if he's not on the team anymore. And he's their all-time leading appearance. He's had the most appearances for them. 5th all-time scorer for them. Tied for 2nd all-time assists for them. It's a short history, so I'm sure someday he will get bumped off this list. But as of right now, I think he's got to be on there. And the last one, I went with Christian Ramirez. And his time with the Loons feels a bit far removed at this point. But his impact in the early years in Minnesota definitely can't be forgotten, even if they were terrible. He's joint all-time leading scorer, and that's with 7 less games than Quintero. He's top 10 in assists. And in the early years when Minnesota was really bad, he was their lone bright spot for them, and I think he deserves to be on here.
Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, obviously, my love of Darwin is well known at this point, so he is number 1. I also had Kevin Molino and Miguel Ibarra, and then I didn't put Iko Para on here just because he's also on, not to give anything away, a later team, so I didn't want to have the same player on multiple teams. So I put Jan Gregus.
Okay.
But I'm okay with that 4th spot.
Did you say you didn't put Ramirez? You put Molino, Kevin Molino?
Kevin Molino, Darwin, and Miguel Ibarra.
Okay. I'm okay with Kevin Molino.
Yeah. I think had this season not gotten postponed, Kevin Molino was going to be ridiculous. Also, honorable mention to Mason Toy.
All right. So I had three with you, Connor. Quintero, Ibarra, and Ramirez. And wait, no, you said Ike as well, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Connor.
Oh, wow.
Connor.
We finally did it.
We've only gone and done it. Connor,
You know, how many teams?
We've too many. And listen, you could have had it straight on, but you didn't. So that's on you. Connor, well done. I'm proud of you. We're finally clicking. But yeah, listen, right? Ramirez, you took the words right out of my mouth about Ramirez, right? I think your numbers are a little off, or wherever you're getting it isn't taking in certain games like playoffs or U.S. Open Cup or something, because Darwin is the leading scorer, and I think Ramirez is like 6 off him. But 14 goals in 30 games in the first season is something you can't forget about, even if the season's disgustingly bad. Miguel Ibarra, through and through, one of their first players, leads the team in appearances. Huge part of the first few years. Ike, Defender of the Year, really turned it around this year. And then Quintero, just Quintero. That's all I got to say about that. So, Connor. Yeah.
This probably won't count because obviously it's a little bit different than what we've been putting on. But can I put the Wonderwall as my 4th spot and just get rid of Grey Goose? Okay.
No.
Fine. Okay, so I'm looking before we move on. I'm looking at Minnesota's website for records,
Mhm.
and for goals, it has Ramirez and Quintero both on 21. I don't know if they haven't updated it, but that's what their website said.
So I'm on Transfer Market, and they have Quintero at 27, and I think it takes into an account every game that he's played. So if we look at career or stats, all seasons,
Maybe they just put up MLS numbers. I don't know, but
Yeah, that's gotta be
this
it,
is from
because-
their website, so
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
I'm going off of.
because he scored 6 goals in the U.S. Open Cup in 2019 when they got to the
All right.
final,
There you
which
go.
was another reason why he was so freaking good. But yeah,
Portland.
right. Let's go to Portland. Is that Adam's turn?
Oh God, Portland. I'm just gonna throw a list of names out and just.
I don't know. You pick 4. No name. No.
I gotta pick. Dude, there's so many of them. In no particular order, I'm gonna go with Diego Valeri.
Oh wow, you got one.
Thanks. Darlington Nagbe. Zarek Valentine. And just because it'll annoy Andrew, my last one's gonna be Liam Ridgewell and
I
not
hate
Diego
you.
and not
I
Diego
hate you.
Chara.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. You're doing this as a joke, right? You're actually putting Chara on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're damn right you are. Literally the best CDM in the league. I'll have to post this to Portland again and get everybody seeing it so they can hate.
Which is disappointing because I think Liam Ridgewell could easily be on this list.
I agree. I think Liam Ridgewell is phenomenal, but you don't put Chara off for Liam Ridgewell.
No, but I just want to see your reaction.
Yeah, no, you got a reaction. Valeri, Chara, Nagbe, 3 obvious ones. Nagbe, we talked about all of them at length, right? And my last one's Fernando Adi. Why? We're gonna forget that he ever went to FCC. That is not a thing that happened. 2014 to 2018, he was one of the best strikers in the league. He had 16 goals in back-to-back years, 9 in his first year, and he was vital for the 2016 Cup run. He was just this huge problem that until he fell out of favor with Savarese, he was one of the best strikers in the league. So I have him there over Zarek Valentine. I don't like that pick, but Connor?
I've got the 3 Ds: Diego Valeri, Diego Chara, and Darlington Nagbe.
And are we not matching on the last one?
Is the
We're
fourth
not
D
matching on the last one.
is the fourth D Darren Esperia? Because
No.
that's acceptable as well.
I went the coach route again.
No. You
Yeah.
want Caleb Porter, really?
I went Caleb Porter.
Okay.
So I went Caleb Porter because I feel like he's had a huge role in their slightly short history. For me, he was one of the first coaches in MLS I knew by name, and I don't think that was for no reason. I would say the best moment in Portland's history has been winning MLS Cup, and he was the manager for them. Twice he's had the best record in the Western Conference, and he's the winningest coach in their history.
So here's the reason why I don't put him on there, even if I was picking coaches. Caleb Porter doesn't win without Darlington Nagbe. That's why he brings him everywhere he goes. He's literally a one-player coach. And I can't in my right mind take out a player who flourished in the system that he put in only because he had one player to do it. But that's just me.
That is just you.
You basically just put Darlington Nagbe twice.
Sure. That's how much I love Nagbe.
Yeah, I'm sure. You love him so much, you send him out to Columbus.
Yeah, Columbus is a good team.
True.
Somebody stop this kid. RSL. Mike Petke, all his coaches. Somebody,
Way.
freaking printer broke, man. Freaking printer broke. Easily one of my favorite moments this past decade. Broken printer, man. This one's not that difficult. Nick Raimondo. I'm not going to begin to describe that. Kyle Beckerman, apparently the best center defensive mid in the decade, according to one of our good buddies here.
Yeah.
Javi Morales, 300 appearances, best center attacking mids in the league at one point. 60 and 85. That's mental. Did it almost 300 games, but still. Great on the ball. One of Arsenal's best ever players. This one I think is where we might swap. I've got Alvaro Saborio in there. Alvaro Saborio, 79 goals in 157 games. Super clinical, very technical, found a way to get the ball over the line. And the best thing for me is that he only did it with one season of 30 or more appearances, 3 seasons under 20 appearances. So he played, I think, for 5 years, or 6 years, excuse me. He had 1 over 30, 3 under 20, and 2 of them were like 24, and he put 79 goals in. That's mental. So for me, no brainer there.
Yeah, I mean, those first 3 I had as well. And then my last one is Albert Rusnak.
Okay. I don't disagree.
Yeah.
What is your reasoning?
Just because, I mean, at least the last half of the decade, he's been the one in that midfield pulling strings. He's let Beckerman and whoever else is behind him kind of just do all the defending, and he's been that number 10 spraying the ball and obviously scoring bangers. It would have been interesting to see this season because they've gotten rid of literally their entire attack, how they looked. I mean, no João Plata, no Mo Sissien, no Javi Mo, no. I mean, it's literally just him up top and some kids.
He hasn't been there for that long. I think you're 2017.
3-4 seasons.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't disagree. I think he's been good. I don't think he's been that good. He hasn't really brought them anything, has he?
He's got a goal every 3rd game as a attacking mid. It's not bad.
To get them to what, 7th in the West?
Well, that's not his fault.
I mean, we had this argument the other day with what? Who do we have this argument with, Connor? You and me? Oh, Lucia Costa. Yeah. By the way,
he can do everything he wants.
Connor, Lucci doesn't make that list. Nobody in the DC United Reddit subreddit agrees with you. So
okay.
That's another point for me.
Congrats.
Thanks, bro. You're up next.
I got the same 3 as well. Armando, Morales, Beckerman. Last spot, I was debating between I feel like I'm going to botch pronunciation, but Jameson Olave.
Jameson Olave, Red Bull legend.
Yeah, Jameson Olave and Tony Beltran. But I went with Tony Beltran in this one. He was there with them for the entire decade. He's 4th all-time in appearances. And while Olave I think he was more talented player maybe, just because he also won Defender of the Year. I think that Beltran's commitment to the club and the fact that he was just there the entire time puts him on there for me.
If this is an actual Mount Rushmore that's being made, can I petition and put Nat Borchers' beard on there?
Yeah, everybody has a Nat Borchers' beard, but they're all different players.
That's fine.
I think the one player we all forgot is Nedum Onuoha.
Onua from QPR, go away.
San Jose. Who's up for San Jose?
Is that me?
I think it is you.
Oh, fun.
Connor, how are you going to mess this one up?
Oh, San Jose. I actually just have 4 Chris Wondolowski heads on there.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I tried my hardest to come up with a list here. So I'm sure
he's hiding his face. He's like, don't look at me when I mess this up.
Oh, I'm sure I'm going to miss people because I feel like this has been a decade to forget for San Jose.
It's been an entire existence to forget. Outside of 2011.
True.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not even gonna. Wondolowski. There you go. Obviously, he's there.
Yep.
Let's just move on to the next parts. My next player was John Bush. Never seen him play, but the stats sure say he should be here, and I'll convince you why.
Will you? You don't sound convinced. You don't sound like you're convincing yourself right now.
Well, because I feel like if these guys were on a different team, they wouldn't make the Mount Rushmore. The one good thing for San Jose during the decade was when they won Supporter Shield. and he was the goalkeeper for them during that time. He's 8th all-time in appearances for them, 2nd all-time in shutouts for them. He's got the all-time record for most saves in a season for them. And as I said, he won Supporter Shield. Next, Shea Salinas. I feel like he's another trooper for this team, sticking it out for the decade. And anyone who's played with him as much as he has during the dark times deserves to be recognized.
Let me help you. Shea Salinas.
Sorry, Salinas. Shea Salinas. My lack of MLS culture is showing.
Yeah, we're gonna have to just. I'm gonna give you like a quiz every week, so you can just
A quiz.
A quiz.
All right, sorry. He was also there for their lone bright spot season. He's 2nd all-time in appearances for them. He's 2nd all-time in assists for them. And as I said, he was there for the Supporter Shield. My last one, Ramiro Corrales. I think normally this guy would be on here, no questions, but when we limit it to the time period of just the 2010s, which was the ending part of his career, I feel like there could be some debate to whether or not he makes it on here or not. Most of his stats weren't in the decade, but I'm including him because I didn't know who else to put. He's 3rd all-time in appearances for them, 6th all-time assister. He was there for the Supporter Shield during the decade. That's really my only argument for him.
So I've actually got 3 of the 4.
Wow, that's surprising.
And I'm okay with the 4th. Like I have the guy that I have. I would swap out Bush in a heartbeat. I love John Bush because, again, another short goalkeeper who made it pro and made me feel like I could do it too, even though I couldn't because my body wasn't made for it. But, the dude was like 5'8", 5'9", and was starting, like you said, starting goalkeeper, most shutouts. Dude was a good player. And I like the style of play that he had. But Wando, obviously. Salinas, obviously. I also had Corrales. Simply because he was their first captain when they came back to be San Jose. Left back, not great stats. Another stay at home. That wasn't really part of the way the teams played back in the day. But he was there for the 2011 Supporter Shield, and yeah, I agree with that as well. And then my last one is Victor Bernardes. Victor Bernardes is the first guy I remember being one of those players. With him and Mastroeni were like, do not mess with these guys; they will kill you. So. He was the heart of that back line for San Jose. And I think that he definitely – he was there forever. He made a few trips to there, I believe. But I think he deserves a shout here. And then honorable mention, my boy Jason Hernandez. Go ahead, Adam. What do you got?
I mean, Mondo and Shea Salinas, obviously the top 2 on everyone's list. I also had Corrales on here, and yeah, I put my last one's Quincy Amarikwa. I love me some Quincy. Just throw him on there. I think you have to. What he's done for both the San Jose team and just MLS in general. Like there aren't many players who promote fantasy and play as actively as he does. He's just the man.
Bro, imagine picking out somebody to be on your 4 best players of the decade because
it's not like he didn't do anything when he was on the field as well.
I'm just your reasoning is comedic.
Oh no! Other than obviously the goals and the stats he put up, being there forward for so many years, but my honorable mention is Nick Lima, not because of he's only been there a couple of years, but. He's just one. When I look at that San Jose team and look at the players that I realistically want on the Red Bulls, Nick Lima's pretty high on that list.
I agree there completely. Yeah,
Nick Lima could come in and take Seagrist's spot right now.
Oh, 100%. Are we gonna pay that though? That's
no.
more. That's more than the transfer fee from RB2 to Red Bull. So
exactly.
I don't think so. All right, pause. I need to run to the bathroom.
Oh my god.
Okay. All right. Are we ready?
Yep.
Cool. So, Seattle. Who's on? Is this you?
I'll take Seattle. I mean, this is impossible not to mess up. So my first spot is either of the managers. I'm fine being convinced one way or the other between Sigi Schmidt and Brian Schmetzer. I mean, just for the work they've done, winning however many MLS Cups and supporter shields and hi Gracie. But I'm good with either of them. Connor, I don't know if you've picked one, but I'm good with either of them. Ozzy Alonso, just because I won't make Andrew mad at me twice.
I was say I mean, you didn't include him on being one of the best center mids in the decade, but yeah, he's
Right.
definitely.
Yeah. Clint Dempsey, obviously, and then I think you have to put Chad Marshall in here. Even though I mean, Nico Ladero, Roman Torres, Fry, Obafemi Martins, I could make a case for any of them, but it's hard to pick over the top three. If I don't have a manager, I'll put Ladero.
Andrew, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to. because I agree, this is extremely difficult. I got Alonso, obviously. I got Chad Marshall, obviously. I got Fry in there over the coaches. And I'm actually going to make it. So I have Christian Roldan here. And this is why. He's got 200 appearances already. He's played basically every single game since 2015. He's been box-to-box midfielder, national team, MLS Cups. He's been there. You know, as everybody else rotates around him. I would be okay with swapping him for Deuce or Obafemi, just by name.
Did you not have Deuce on here?
I don't have Deuce on here. I put Fry instead because he lasted longer, won more, and was less of a trouble off the field. Love Deuce.
But does he have a rap album? It's the real question.
Deuce had 136 games. Roldan's at 188. Again, I would – you had Obafemi, right?
I had him as an honorable mention. I couldn't justify putting him over one of the four.
I would be okay with swapping Deuce for Roldan. That I'm okay with. I think the other three are no-brainers. Ozzy, Fry, and what the hell is his name? I forgot it already.
Chad Marshall.
Chad Marshall, thank you. I was reading down past it, and I was like, where did it go? I'd be okay with swapping Roldan for Deuce, but I think Roldan does have a shout simply because he's literally been there every game since 2015, and he was young when he started. Like, they called him straight from the academy and said, all right, let's go play. And he did, and he acclimated very quickly. So I'm going to stick with Roldan.
Yeah, that Deuce and Ova partnership up top was
disgusting.
Arguably the scariest front two in league history.
Yeah. Imagine having a front two like that and then forgetting that Toronto had a front two like Josie and Giovinco and thinking that Giovinco's a center mid. And
we're not doing this again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I getting caught up again? Connor, go ahead. Who do you have?
I have Ozzy. That's honestly, I think we would all have Ozzy 100%. Yeah, the rest was tough. I actually did go with a coach. I went with Sticky Schmid. And it was tough between him and Brian Schmetzer. But I went with Siggy because he was – I know that Schmetzer coached them, I think, before they came to MLS. And then Siggy Schmid took over. But I feel like Siggy kind of laid the groundwork for Schmetzer to be successful as an MLS coach. And I also think that Siggy took home more silverware, even though Schmetzer won arguably the more important trophy twice. Siggy, I'm only including obviously Siggy Schmid's coaching tenure from 2010 to 2016, so that doesn't include 2009. He made the playoffs every single year that he was a coach, 2010 to 2016. That's a long period of time where you were just consistently great. He's won the U.S. Open Cup 3 times, and he's won the Supporters' Shield. Obviously, you could easily make the argument to replace him with a player, but I wanted to go with a coach here because that's kind of been my theme throughout this is going with coaches, and I feel like he definitely deserves it. But at the same time, could completely see someone going with Brian Schmetzer.
This was the only team that you could realistically put a manager in. I mean, I know we put Bob Bradley in just because LAFC haven't been around for that long, but the two managers that Seattle have had are just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think you go Schmetzer over Ziggy simply because Ziggy was earlier, right? Didn't he? He started his tenure before the decade.
2008.
Yeah. So if you want to be consistent with the theme and stick within the decade, then you go Schmetzer and you want all the other stuff. But I don't disagree with either of them.
Well, I went Siggy because he managed for I think the longer part of the decade. Because Schmetzer only had I think like 2017, 18, and 19, which he won 2 MLS Cups during it. But I think they won one in 2016, and that was the season that Siggy Schmidt. I don't know if he left or got fired. I'm not totally sure. Maybe one of you know. But he was gone like July 2016. So I think he was there for part of that season when they won MLS Cup.
Yeah, he got fired.
He got fired.
What had happened was he started off really poorly, and they had done this thing for a while where they were starting off poorly, getting better, and he started off so poorly there was a good shot they weren't going to make the playoffs. They fired him and let Schmetzer take over. Schmetzer signed Ladero, and then they made the playoffs, and I think they won that year, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
So essentially, there's arguments saying that if he was there when Ladero got there, he would have been there for the rest of his life. But,
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, so it's interesting, but
yeah, again, I could see like either one. I could see an argument for either coach. So I'm totally fine. Like if someone wanted to change it out. But anyway, let me continue because I'm still not done yet.
You're not
still
done.
Have 2 players. No, I still have 2 players. So I went with Stefan Fry.
Good.
He was an absolute unit in goal. He makes so many crazy, huge saves. He's a superstar in the league, no question. He's 2-time MLS Cup, 1-time Supporters Shield. He was MLS Cup MVP as a goalkeeper, which is pretty crazy. He's all-star. He's one of the all-time leading appearances for them. I'm sure he's got most shutouts in club history, but I couldn't find anything to confirm it. And then the last player, again, could totally go any way at all. But I went with Nico Ladero. He's one of the biggest stars that I've been able to watch play in MLS. And obviously, if you're a huge star in MLS, you're going to be a huge star for your team, as he was. He's 2-time MLS Cup champion, 1-time All-Star. He's tied 4th top scorer for them. Again, you could check the numbers. I'm not totally sure if that's completely accurate, but from what I saw, he was tied 4th top scorer for them and all-time assister for them.
All right.
But I could totally see Deuce being in here, Obafemi. I didn't go with Chad Marshall because I put him in another list and I didn't want to double up.
You don't like doubling up, yeah.
No, I don't like doubling up. Trying to be unique.
Yep, me too.
Unique. What a loser.
But again, could see plenty of other options going in there.
Yeah, no. Seattle is definitely one of the toughest teams, not because they didn't have enough, but because they had too many. And you were going to have to leave off really good names. So I get that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
SKC. So Adam, you want SKC or do you want to take the challenge of hitting Vancouver?
Up to you. SKC, I don't feel like was a challenge. I feel like there weren't as many names as I thought there would be. But
all right, then go ahead and tell me.
I mean, I know we put him in the Minnesota list, but I put Ike Opara on this one. This entire list, my 4 picks are Ike Opara, Matt Beasler, Graham Zusi, and Sestanovic. It's literally the back line.
The back line for like 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, yes, you could put like a Johnny Russell or Benny Feilhaber in here, but that back line was silly.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to stay away from that.
I couldn't.
I mean, you could. Want to know why? It was like this.
Who would I miss? Go for it.
You put Matt Beasler in there, 300 appearances, USMNT, best center back in the league at one point, right? We talked about it. You put Graham Zusi in there, 300 apps, USMNT, plays all over the field. We talked about him again. You put Benny Feilhaber in there. Benny Feilhaber ran the midfield in that team. 34 and 38, 198 USMNT. Crucial to the 2 U.S. Open Cups and the MLS Cup in 2013. Then you put Roger Espinoza in there, and this one I would be open to changing. I didn't want to put Ike in there, I didn't want to put Ike in there because it was 2 center backs, and I thought there were more talent all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been there from 2012 to 2012 to 2018. More of an 8, but he's still going, right? He's almost got 300 appearances. Does dirty work in the center, and became a fan favorite. You know, they want him. They want him to play there. So I'd be okay with switching him out. But I mean, there are tons of shouts here. You can go vintage Kai Kamara, who was disgusting for them up top. You can go vintage Dom Dwyer, who was disgusting for them up top. There are a lot of players you can put in there. I just didn't want to do a full back line, and I couldn't bring myself to put Jimmy Nielsen in here because I think he had too good of a back line in front of him.
Can I add Jimmy Madrando to my list? Just
No.
because there aren't many defenders who can also play left wing and every other position apparently in existence.
Have you seen me at Sunday League? There are plenty of them.
I have.
Connor, what do you got?
So I have 3 of the 4 that you had, but we differed on one. Matt Beasler, obviously, not gonna make an argument. Graham Zusi, same thing. He's like a wing back version of Matt Beasler, essentially. I have Benny as well. For me, it was tough to decide between Benny and Roger Espinoza. Obviously, both could definitely get a shout in this list, but I went with Benny because he's come up with a few big goals or assists for them over the decade. And one thing for me that stood out as to why I picked Benny over Roger is because Benny was there when they won the MLS Cup, but Roger Espinoza at the time was at Wigan. So that's why I went with Benny, because that's probably one of their brightest spots of the decade, if not their most. That's up for debate. And he was there, Roger was not. So I went with him.
Okay.
Obviously, though, Benny, one-time All-Star, one-time Best 11, 12th all-time in appearances, tied for 7th all-time for goals, 4th all-time assister. I don't really need to make a case that much. My last one, definitely up for debate. Could 100% take him out, be fine with it. I can go Roger Espinoza, anybody else, I don't care. I stuck with the coaching thing. I went with Peter Vermees, sorry. And this isn't including his playing career, because that happened before the 2010s. So this is strictly him as a manager. And I think he's one of, if not the only manager that's been with the team for the entire decade. All of the 2010s he was there. He won an MLS Cup with them, 3 US Open Cups. He made the playoffs all but 2 years. He was first in the Western Conference 3 times. He has 169 wins for them. And before he took over, the 5 years before he took over, they missed the playoffs 3 of those 5 years. So I feel like his impact as a manager shouldn't be overlooked, but at the same time could completely take him out for a player or really anybody else that you can make a good case for.
I don't disagree. Yeah. I think there are too many good players that you would put on here where because have they made the playoffs every year since he's been there?
They made the playoffs all but 2 years.
Okay. So he's had his ups and downs, and I don't know. I don't disagree. I think he's had a great impact. I just don't know if you leave off players.
No, I get it. I could see the argument the other way, but the coaching thing is kind of my thing for this, so I'm going with it.
So you have Craig Robinson in Vancouver for the next one.
Oh, absolutely not.
Adam, any thoughts on that to end it? I don't disagree with you.
No, I'm fine with having Peter Ramirez. The only reason I left Benny off, and it wasn't that I left Benny off, it was just whenever I think of that SKC kind of dynasty for those however many years, it's just the back line is what comes to my mind first over Benny, but I'm fine with putting Benny in there.
Okay.
I need to pause a quick second. Hold on.
And then Vancouver. I'll take it. I'll take it, and I am ready for conversation. I don't think there's arguments here because it's very up in the air because they didn't have a great decade, right? So I
Yeah.
think it's up in the air, so there won't be arguments. I think we'll all agree that people can be switched out.
I think there's one absolute, and then the rest can do whatever you want with.
So I've got Russell Tybert,
Mm-hmm.
200 appearances next game, joined from the youth academy straight in, and then the biggest thing for Vancouver for me was a 2014-15 Canadian Cup. That's kind of where I focused around it. That's the only thing they did. They got into the Champions League after that, and he made three appearances in the Canadian Cup victory on the way to the title. Numbers aren't the best, but he is a solid product of Vancouver, who have not had many bright points, to be honest. I've got Jordan Harvey, 200 appearances for the club, 2011 to 2017 Canadian Cup. 24 appearances every year since 2012, so he's always been consistently in there. Just, again, not somebody I can see. David Ousted, my boy, made his name in Vancouver, best shot stopper in the league. He had 2 back-to-back years of 13 shutouts with a defense in front of him that, oh, Lord, that defense.
There was a defense in front of him?
Yeah, right. I couldn't even think of anything to describe because I couldn't think of him. But, yeah, so it was Tim Parker.
Yeah, rookie season Tim Parker.
Yeah, right. So he made his name over there. 46 clean sheets total and 150, a clean sheet every 3 games. Can't really complain about that. And my last one, his name is Camilo. Camilo is the club's leading goal scorer with 43 goals in 102 games. He had 22 in 32 games in 2013, which gave him the Golden Boot. And then he left. So he not many bright spots, but when he played, he scored. Probably one of the best players to be there. Somebody help me.
Yeah, I think David.
I'm a little disappointed in you, Andrew.
Why?
Well, go ahead, Adam. Go ahead. No, I'll save it for the end.
All right. I mean, I think David Ousted's the one that you kind of have to have in there.
Yep.
I had
Wait, who? Did I miss it?
David Ousted.
Oh, did not put him in there.
Well,
It's
well,
right
Of
there.
course you did.
well then.
Yeah.
Of course you didn't.
Yeah, of course I didn't.
Interesting. Andrew, I had Russell Tyward as well.
Great.
I put Kendall Waston in here,
Okay.
but I mean, any of these guys can be swapped out fairly easily. And then the last one's between Kakuta Mena and Ali Adnan. Ali Adnan will be on this list at some point if he stays.
You and
with
your
me.
obsession.
Dude, Ali Adnan is good. I will refuse to hear anything else. But
He gets you bonus points on a double game week when you captain him once, and now he's your favorite player of all time.
no, because they have Lucas Cavallini, who's now my favorite Vancouver player. But Ali Adnan, I think in a few years, if he continues on his path, will be on this list.
Go ahead, Connor. Please tell me how you messed this up.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, Kendall Waston should be on this list strictly
No,
for
he
his
shouldn't.
ability, strictly
he
for his abilities in No Rules FIFA.
Absolutely not. I refuse to
Strictly
hear
for that. But I legitimately have him on this list. He was 5th all-time in appearances for them. He's 8th all-time in goals for them as a center back.
That just speaks to how bad they were, not how good.
I know, but why is that a knock on him? 2-time Vancouver Player of the Year, 2-time Best 11, 1-time All-Star. That's why I have him in here. The one spot that we did agree on, I believe, Jordan Harvey.
We agreed on
Wait,
Jordan.
hold on. I lost audio.
Instead. You there?
I can't hear it anymore. Hold on.
Good. Adam, are you recording?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Hold on. I got to switch it back now. I think it connected to Winnie's laptop.
Did your AirPods die on us, Mr. Flex?
No, they're working.
Mr. Flex.
Hold on. What the hell is going on with it? Said it was connected. Now it's not. Okay, I think I'm good now. Yeah, there we go. I can hear you guys again. Okay, so the one spot that we did agree on was Jordan Harvey.
Again, you put Jordan Harvey, but you didn't put David Ousted.
Yeah,
Bloody-
he's the all-time leading appearance for them as of right now. I know that's going to change. He's 15th all-time in goals for them, and he was also a Vancouver Player of the Year. Again, Vancouver was tough because nothing has really been that great. So if you want to argue David Ousted, I'm fine with that. I'm all here for it.
I think
With my next player, Pedro Morales. Um, he was there for the lone bright season for Vancouver, and I think that he deserves to be in here. And the stats kind of back it up. He was one-time Vancouver Player of the Year. He was one-time MLS Newcomer of the Year. He's second all-time in scoring for them. He's the top assister in history for them. He's probably one of not the most, but one of the more talented players that's ever played for them. So I put him on there. And then the last one, honestly, why not? I went for the wild one that will, I'm sure, get a lot of shit for, but and if you want to take him out for David Ousted, I'm fine with that. But I went with Alphonso Davies. And obviously, this one's going to be a little controversial because his time in Vancouver was so short. But he's one of the most talented, probably the most talented player to come through that team ever, in my opinion. And he had the MLS transfer record at one point. He was a one-time All-Star for them, and he's become one of the best young players in the entire world, not only in MLS. And he came from Vancouver. So to me, that puts Vancouver on the map for the rest of the world because they were the ones that produced and made him into this blossoming star. And I just feel like what he's done for Vancouver shouldn't be too overlooked, even if it was short-lived.
He puts Vancouver on the map until the rest of the world actually go to watch Vancouver, and they're like, oh, all right, maybe not.
Still, at least they know who Vancouver is, though.
Yeah.
I am willing, after doing a little bit of research, to swap Camilo for Kendall Waston. However, I'm not happy about it because, as we spoke about already, David Ousted had a wet paper towel as a defensive line.
Yeah.
So because
I didn't go with Camilo strictly for the same reason we didn't go with Zlatan. Because he put up the stats, but he didn't win anything with Vancouver. Like he didn't.
Fair.
It's not Zlatan's fault.
There we go. Adam's favorite line of all time. It's not Zlatan's fault.
What more do you want from the man?
Also for the Russell Tybert argument. Tybert. Is that how it is? Tybert?
Yes. Russell Tybert.
Sure, Russell Tybert. I feel like the argument is somewhat similar to the argument I made for Jonathan Osorio.
Oh my God! Please do not go back.
Wait, tell me he's all-time leading appearances, but he hasn't really been anything like super special for them.
You're right, but who else are you going to put in there?
I made a list of people I put in there.
So I'm not dropping Russell Tybert for – I'm not leaving out David Ousted for Russell Tybert.
That's fine. You could put I'm totally fine with David Ousted in there.
No, my point is last week you put in Jonathan Osorio in place of one of the best strikers the league has seen in his time here. That's unacceptable. But we're not on that anymore.
Adam would have done the same thing if he was there.
Yes, but that's why we were happy Adam wasn't there because I don't need garbage opinions.
Would it be we? Is it you and Gracie?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm okay with dropping Camilo for Waston. And I think Tybert needs to be there. Russell Tybert is in there for the same reason you just put Alphonso Davies in there. So outside of his international success, same reason. Vancouver.
How are they in there for the same reason?
Vancouver kid came up through the ranks and made it.
Yeah, and now Alphonso Davies is a world superstar, and Tybert is still doing the same thing in Vancouver.
Andrew, did you leave Kendall Waston off of this one just because you were going to put him on the FCC one when we do it?
No, because I put him on the FCC one when we did it.
Gross, get out of here.
I can't double up. I don't want to double
I
up.
never made one for FCC.
Exactly. So you cheated. All right,
I
put it
didn't
this way.
cheat,
If you had made an FCC one, is Kendall Waston on there? Yes, that's what you said.
but I didn't make one.
With that point, you're not allowed to put him on Vancouver because he's already
I
on
can.
the FCC.
All right, fine. Then I'll take him out for David Osted. Done.
Brilliant.
Done.
The FCC one is just a giant dumpster fire made out of rock. There you go. There's my one for the week.
Good. There you go. You got it in. All right. On that note, thanks everybody for joining us. We have made it this far.
Question of the day.
What? Oh, you have a question. You have a question of the day?
I can come up with one, but it may not be strictly MLS related.
I mean, I don't have one. I haven't been thinking about it. So, if you have,
so I was thinking about this kind of recently, just because I thought about it from a Chelsea perspective as a Chelsea fan. Is there a particular player, and this can include MLS, that whenever they had the ball on their foot, you just knew like everything was going to be fine. Like you were never concerned when that player had the ball on his foot.
Thierry Henry, done.
Adam? It could be anybody. It doesn't have to be MLS because mine's not MLS.
Try and focus on MLS because I know you're about to say
All right.
Eden Hazard, and we're going to talk about.
No, I wasn't going to say Hazard. I was going to say Cesc Fabregas.
Oh God.
Just any time that he had the ball, I was like, I know we're going to be fine.
Let's keep it MLS related then.
All right, fine. Let me think then.
I'm trying really hard not to say Zlatan, so give me a second.
I'll say Julian Gressel.
Okay.
That's
all right.
fair.
As I've said multiple times before, there is nobody in the league since the league has existed that I have watched that made it look as easy as Thierry Henry. Anytime he got the ball.
I agree, but I'm trying to think of someone different.
Yeah.
Just to be different.
If you want to put
Nico Ladero.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my guess.
I was saying, Connor, you said Julian Gressel.
Yeah, I'll go Gressel.
Okay. That was an okay one. I think it was a little too easy because we didn't take a lot of time.
We haven't been doing it, so.
Yeah, I know. I realize that.
Let's
because
come up one on the spot. If you could think of a better one right now, then go for it.
Oh, I can. I haven't thought about it. So
maybe we can lead into the next episode of the podcast and say who we think our biggest flop is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to lead into it, but I've already made my call.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. $8 million on Rafa Marquez to sit there and watch players run by him is not a sound investment. But we can talk about that later.
We'll figure it out.
But again, thanks guys for making it this far. We hope you enjoyed part 2, if you will, of the Mount Rushmore series. As we had just mentioned, next week we are going to go into biggest flops, biggest big name transfers. We'll think of a funny name for it, but we're real excited for that because there have been a lot of really bad players in this league, so this should be a good time. Like I said, make sure you follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast so you know when a new episode's coming out. And I believe that's it. So any parting words, guys?
I think that we should name the episode next week the all-time Yoshi list. Since we do Yoshi of the week, Yoshi of the decade or something.
I'm down.
Well, all right. So thanks again for coming, guys, and listening this far. And we will see you next time on the next episode of the Designated Players Podcast. See ya.